Hello and welcome to episode number 135 of WP Café, the show where we share the real, unfiltered experience of running a WordPress business. I'm Keith Devon, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Mark Wilkinson. We're both from Highrise Digital, which is a tiny agency building WordPress websites and products. Today, we're going to be talking about a number of things, I guess mostly about efficient asset loading in our WordPress websites that we build. So grab a brew, settle in as we explore what it's really like behind the scenes. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at WP Cafe Show, and find us on Blue Sky and the web at wpcafe.show. If you enjoy the episode, hit subscribe and like, leave us a comment, and share it with someone who might find it useful. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. So if you're watching along live on YouTube, please do join the conversation and let us know what you think. So on to the show. But before we get stuck into the topics, let's catch up with Mark. Mark, how have you been this week? What's been going on?
Not so bad. I'm not feeling 100%, I must admit. Like the rest of the UK, I think. Everyone seems to be a bit down under the weather, don't they? So if I disappear, it's probably because I'm about to sneeze my head off. But I will be back when I finish doing that. So
Once you put your head back on. Yeah.
So, but yeah, other than that, doing all right. Just plodding along. A few things to chat through today. So it's good. What about you?
Yeah, similar. Took a couple of days off at the start of this week with a bit of a nasty cold. They hit me really hard and then disappeared really quickly, which is unusual for me because usually once I get a cold, I'm in it for quite a while. I'm still a little bit kind of blocked up, but I feel so much better. Ginger and cinnamon is what I was taking, and I don't know. It's it's a sample of one, but I saw some stupid thing on the internet about like traditional remedies for colds, and the guy was all about it. So I was like, well, I've got ginger and cinnamon in the house, so I'll give that a go. A few cups of that was right. But no, my
put it in boiling water, you know?
Yeah. I just chopped up a bunch of ginger, sprinkled in some ground cinnamon.
You mean fresh honey. Ginger?
Yeah. And it was reasonably tasty. It's quite fiery, and apparently that's what works. But it gets the blood flowing and blah blah blah. Anyway, it's probably absolute nonsense. But now my daughter's really sick, and I've got a horrible feeling that a hospital visit is imminent because she's got a very high temperature, and I know what the GP is going to say. They're just going to send us on off to hospital with the rest of the country, like you said. Like everyone's sick at the minute, so it could be in for a pretty grim 24 hours. But let's enjoy the last of it before that happens.
Right.
So let's get on with the show. A few things to chat about there. The first one is all about basically efficiently loading CSS and JavaScript in our WordPress sites, and it came about. I'll do the intro, Mark, because I reckon you're going to be talking through the technicalities because it's mostly been your work so far. But it came about because of a performance kind of audit that we're doing for a client of ours. And one of the, we're just running it through Google PageSpeed. One of the main insights was that the theme CSS file was quite large. And it's kind of grown over time. And it's reasonably big. And we have previously and since this project been much cleverer about how we kind of load our CSS. I don't know why this project we weren't doing those things. But what we thought is that we should probably be loading block styles, like block CSS specifically, only when those blocks are on the page, if possible. And we know it is possible. So you set about to figure out how to look for those assets in a particular place in the theme if the block was on the page. Over to you. What challenges did you face? What solutions did you come up with?
I'm just checking out the right branch so I can see my code at the same time as doing
Yeah, good idea.
And it magically appears in my file. There we go. So I've done this before, actually. So it's just a matter of like revisiting it. And I've actually approached it in a few different ways. The very first way I approached it was to get all of the blocks on the website. So you can do that. I think there's like a block registry class thing, and you can get all of the registered blocks. And then you kind of loop through each of those. You check whether you've got a file present, and if you have, you kind of enqueue it. But that was kind of inefficient. So I thought we may as well do it the other way around, in that if we have a block file present, then loop through those and then work out what the block is that you need to sort of add the block style. So that's the approach I've gone for. So essentially, we get we're just using the PHP glob function, which basically looks at a directory of the files. So I'm looking at, in this directory, I think it's assets. This is in the theme. It's assets blocks, essentially. And it looks for any files in there that are ending in .css. And then we loop through each of those files. We build a path, because you need the path, comes out in a minute. We build a file name, and then from the file name, we build the block name, because obviously the file name is going to be like core-paragraph, whereas the block's called core/paragraph. Bit annoying, but that's what you have to do. And then for each of those, we then use the core WordPress function, WP enqueue block style, which kind of does what it says on the tin. It registers your CSS file with WordPress, and it enqueues it when that block is detected in a page load. So you'll only ever get that loaded if you have that block on the page, which seems much more efficient. You know, if we've got some specific styles for a media and text block, but that's not on the current page, it seems silly to load the CSS for that when we don't need it. So this is trying to attack this so that only the CSS you want is loaded. And that should help, because our CSS file is quite large, so we can split that into smaller files and only load those when they're needed. It makes sense. The other thing that the WP enqueue block style does, and this is why you need the path of your style sheet, that's like the path on the server, is because it will try and inline those styles if it judges that they are suitable for being inlined. I haven't actually looked into what the criteria is that. I think part of it is how much CSS there is in your file. So if you've only got a few rules, it's probably just going to inline them straight away, which is, again, a little bit more efficient. So that works. So basically, once that function has been running, and I've just added that into the theme, it's hooked into the init hook, and it will try and enqueue styles for each block if they're present. So now all Keith has to do is put the files in the folder, and they'll just automatically get enqueued because of their presence, essentially, when those blocks are on the page. So the next task after that is to go and look at the theme style sheet, which is all one, and then try and split that into the different block style sheets and try and then split those out. We'll still have a theme style sheet, because not everything's relative to a block, but that's the plan. So I don't know how you're going to do that, obviously, because you're using SAS, is that right?
Yeah, well, CSS, yeah.
So to try and compile those into the right place, I'm not sure, but that's the next task.
That is the next task. So Mark, we did something similar on the Kimbolton school. I don't want to put you on the spot. I'm going to remember exactly what code you wrote for that.
Yep.
I wasn't compiling my CSS. I was just writing CSS files on that particular project. I just thought I'd try that as an approach. So my side of things was, in a way, much simpler. Is your new approach different to what we did for Kimbolton? And if so, how, and kind of, is it better?
No, it's extremely similar. The only thing that I've changed, and this is because you don't need it, with the original site where we did this, I'm doing the same approach, looping through each of the files that we've got.
Yeah.
And what I was doing is registering a style and then enqueuing the block style, which actually you don't need to do, because the WP enqueue block style function handles the registration and the enqueuing, very much like the WP enqueue style function does. Right. If it hasn't been registered, it will register it. If it is registered, it won't register it. So that's the only change here, just to make it a little bit more efficient. But it's essentially very similar.
And are we doing the same thing with our JavaScript?
I'm glad you asked. So we're not, but we probably could be. I've been experimenting with that this week.
Yeah.
What was a key thing for me was, You can load JavaScript for any block on the front end quite straightforward. So we've done this for this particular project. So we have, I'll take an example. We have a gallery block, and we turn that into a slider when they want like a logo slider. So what we essentially do is we create a block style that's called logo slider, I think it's called. And when they apply that block style, the JavaScript that we've got will obviously then hook into the CSS class that's added and turn it into a slider. So you want to enqueue your JavaScript when the gallery block is loaded.
Yes.
So you can do that using the filter called block type metadata, which essentially filters the block JSON file for the blocks in question. And you can add your script into that. It's called view script. View means like viewing this on the front end. It's basically load this script when we're viewing this on the front end. So you'd register a script as you normally would, and then you'd filter this and pass the handle of the script to this block JSON or this block meta filter. And then your JavaScript will get loaded when the block's on the front end.
Okay.
Now that's great, and it works for any block as long as it has a block JSON file, because that's what you're filtering. So if you've got a very old ACF block that was using like ACF register block type, it didn't work for that. So we've got a few blocks like that, so we need to update them slightly. But they have other functions that you can use to enqueue assets as well. So you can still do this. It's just a different method.
Yeah.
The one thing it doesn't do, which is what I really wanted to try and solve, is that I only want to enqueue that logo slider JavaScript file that you've written when that block style is selected. I don't want to enqueue it if they just had a gallery, a normal gallery. There's no point. It's a waste. They don't need it.
Yeah, so that's what we have been doing currently. So we've got scripts, for example, that get loaded on every paragraph block because there's a certain paragraph style that does like a little counter. Yeah,
correct. That does a little counter. So every paragraph has that, which essentially means it runs on every page, because pretty much every page has a paragraph. So I went about trying to solve that issue of how do we only enqueue block assets, block JavaScript when the block is actually being viewed. And I'm actually just going to load up the post I wrote. Oh, hang on. So I can actually get the code in front of me. And then we can see. So I used a bit of AI, as we do, and got some help from Bob. But essentially what I wanted to do is to say, if this block has this block style, then I want to somehow enqueue our JavaScript. So we'll use the logo slider as an example. So, and the way in which I'm doing that is you can't do that with filtering the block metadata, because at that point in time, the instance of the block hasn't loaded. You're just sort of saying this is the data for all blocks, if you know what I mean. Not the actual instance that's on your page.
Yeah.
So the only method that I found to do it with, you have to do that using the render block filter, which, if you didn't know, the render block filter allows you to change the block HTML, and it also allows you to obviously run your own code at the same time.
Yeah.
So there is also render block filters for each individual block. So render _ block _ and then the block name will only run your code on that particular block. So in the gallery one, we do render block core / gallery, and then we'd run our code. And what we're doing in the code that I've got is it's looking for a class name called isStyle, whatever your style is. Ours is logo slider. If that class is not present, then we just return the normal block content as it was. We don't want to touch it. We just finish there. That's it. If that is the case, then what we can do is run the WP-enqueue script function, which will enqueue our logo slider JavaScript, and then just return the block content as it was. We don't want to touch the block content. We're not really interested in that. We just want to do something at the point the block loads. Yeah, and that works really well. The script gets enqueued only when your style is run. I haven't tested it on the actual site yet. I've been running it on a local little test environment, just a simple test WordPress. But I've added multiple blocks of different styles, and it all seems to only load when you've obviously got your style selected. Yeah, which is great. So we just need to do a bit more testing. But yeah, it's good.
Very cool. A few comments I think we should go through now
Absolutely.
while we're fresh on the topic. First of all, a little wave from Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Nice to have you here, Mark. Courtney says, I always registered CSS and JS with each ACF block, in brackets, JSON. However, this created too many HTTP requests and caused its own issue. Do you use asset bundling? I have to say, I don't know what asset bundling is.
I don't know. No.
But yeah, so obviously this will create more HTTP requests if we're breaking up style sheets and JavaScript files into smaller chunks. That
My
shouldn't
understanding
be a problem.
was that HTTP 2 can handle that.
And I'll bring in Mark for that. So Mark then comments, if the site is loaded over HTTP 2, then it's more efficient to load separate files than one merged file. If the path attribute is passed to WP and Q block style, then the CSS is inlined, which makes the issue of separate asset loading moot. Okay, so that is what I kind of thought as well. I mean, does it get to a point where even with HTTP 2, you can't have too many requests? I don't know, because presumably it can only kind of handle a certain number at a time.
I don't know. My understanding with HTTP 1 or whatever it was, 1.1, I can't remember, was that the browser can only handle one request at a time. So it requests the JavaScript file, it waits for the server to respond, the server responds with the JavaScript file, then it requests the next one, and so on. Whereas with HTTP 2, my understanding was it can like open a connection, and then it can say, like, give me this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and then it can just send them to you.
Yeah. You can see that in the network tab on most websites now. So if you open the network tab and you can see that kind of waterfall view, they'll quite often just be like, it gets to the kind of, right, I need to load my CSS or JavaScript files now, and they're all just stacked exactly vertically. Like,
because they happen at the same time.
Instead of like one after another. So instead of like the step effect that you used to get, it's just a single kind of line. It's just like, bang, they're all done in one go. Elliot then says, hi, Elliot. He says, agree, SAS compilers aren't great for blocks work as they need to only load if the block is loaded on the page. So yeah, not compiling all of your, I guess he's saying, agreeing that not compiling all of our block CSS into one file is the right thing to do. And he says, just so happens I created a PHP class for extending block assets for CSS and JS in my GitHub. I think we've kind of bigged up Elliot before, but he puts out a lot of really great WordPress developer content. So please do go and check out his stuff, including his GitHub and his YouTube channel. And then one more from Elliot. Hook WP and Q script 2 and Q block assets should work. You might have to help me with that one, Mark. I'm not quite sure what he means there.
So NQ block assets is a hook that will run on both the front end and the back end. So if you want your JavaScript to load in the editor as well as on the front end, then you want to use NQ block assets rather than something like render block. I would imagine that's what he's meaning. Most of the time with these things, we don't want to load these in the editor, because it actually makes editing the JavaScript content. Yeah, we don't load the JavaScript, because it actually, if you turn it into a slider in the back end, how do you click on an image to then start replacing it and stuff like that? It depends what you're doing, I think, as the time. But I find most of the time you probably don't want to load the JavaScript in the back end, but that is very specific to what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Courtney's asking here. She said, how do you render sliders in the admin? Do you write admin CSS to just show one slide, for example? The way we've done it, so there's lots of different ways. It depends on the slider. We've built kind of custom blocks with that are sliders, and in that case, we're often just using ACF to build the block, and then just using like a repeater field. So there is really no what you see is what you get kind of experience. Or we're using a current block like the gallery block, for example, And in the back end, in the editor, we just leave it as a gallery so that the client, the user, the editor can see all of the images and just click on them and change them and move them around like they would with a normal gallery, just knowing that on the front end it's not going to look like that. That's the compromise that we've found, because I think having a proper slider interface and having to kind of as a gallery could be pretty horrible as a user interface.
This is where the block editor often conflicts with this what you see is what you get. Like sometimes it just isn't easier to handle what you see is what you get in the back end. Like it doesn't make sense. Like with this slider, it'd be so difficult to sort of like change images because half of them would be off the screen because they're on a slider.
Yeah.
So you'd have to slide everything across, and then it just doesn't really make sense.
And actually, despite some of its limitations, which are obviously changing, that's one of the reasons I actually really like building blocks with ACF, because you're getting a very kind of data-centric editor view. Yeah. And then you could switch across to the preview mode, which will show what it looks like.
Yeah.
And you've got this edit mode, which is a better sometimes editing experience.
Well, it is now with the new ACF.
Certainly like coming on leaps and bounds at the minute. So
two of the new features of ACF 6.7 are inline editing, so you can just edit things by clicking on them, kind of like you're doing a block editor.
Yeah.
I think that only works for a limited number of blocks at the moment, ACF blocks. And then the other one is that you have this new sort of like panel that can come out on the right hand side rather than filling the block sidebar. So have a look at those things; they're quite nice as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. So Elliot says here, take the interactivity API. It's only available in the front end, so there is no WYSIWYG with the interactivity API. So I wonder. I haven't really played with interactivity API, so I don't know kind of what that then looks like in the editor. I don't really even know how to use it. Yeah, but that is interesting. That's something bit of a potential limitation there, but I'm sure that's something that they'll look at in the future.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so kind of fun stuff. So I've not now got to rewrite my npm scripts to save my instead of compiling all my CSS into one theme file. I need to get them all saving in the right places. So that's my little challenge. I don't think that's going to be too difficult. But hopefully I'll have that ready to talk about maybe for next week or early in the new year.
Yeah, we also don't minify it yet, do we? As well, which we could do. The saving on that wasn't particularly massive, though, was it?
No, but we should.
We should do it. It wasn't groundbreakingly, oh my God, let's halve the time. It was a tiny amount, but makes sense. If you're automating it anyway with SAS, makes sense to just squash it all.
Yeah. Same with our JavaScript. So we should probably look at that as well. There's one more kind of technical one that I just want to cover. Just an interesting issue that we came across today, which is one of our job relay customers and a WordPress customer actually. So we built their job board, hooked it up to Bullhorn for them, and I got an email this morning saying one of our jobs is 403ing, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And writing off that one 403'd, and all the other jobs didn't. And I had a thing that just jumped out at me almost as soon as I saw it was that the job that had the issue, the 403, had an umlaut in the title of the job, and it was making the URL look very, very strange. So we've kind of dug into that a little bit this morning. Have we actually kind of found the solution or figured it out, or are we still a bit confused?
I haven't tested it yet, but I'll explain what happens. So when a job gets delivered gets delivered to the website from wherever it's coming from, whether it's Bullhorn or Broadbean or LogicMelon or whatever it is, we simply use the WP insert post function to sort of create the post in WordPress, the job post. And obviously we pass the job title into there when you create the post. And WordPress automatically generates the post name if you don't specify it. And it will generate it by taking the title and essentially separating it with dashes and doing a few other checks and things. one of those checks that WordPress does is to check for, I'm just going to call them weird characters. I'm sure that Germans and French don't call them weird, but apologies for that.
Special characters?
Special characters. Are they special? They're not special to those anyway.
Yeah,
non-standard English characters. I don't know what to call them, but you get
there
the
is
point.
An official word for this, but we haven't got it. So
yeah. So what it does is it strips those out. So for example, in this particular case, it was the letter A with an umlaut over, which if you don't know, it's got 2 little dots over the top of it. And it just strips that out for a normal A and then saves the post name. But then in my code, what we do next is we actually update the post name once the post has been created with appending the post ID. So I can't do it when the post is created because at that point I don't know the ID. So I append the post ID at the end of it in an update. And the reason we do that is so every job has a unique URL, because lots of recruiters, they recruit the same sort of jobs. So they end up posting a job and it's like marketing-manager-London. And then that job gets deleted and another one comes in and it has the same URL as the original, and it just confuses ATS systems. It confuses lots of things.
Yeah.
So long story short is we put the post ID on the end so they're always unique. And when I'm doing that update, so say WP update post, and I'm changing the post name, I needed to sanitize the title. So I used sanitize title with dashes, which kind of does what it says on the tin. It puts dashes in the title that was given.
Mm-hmm.
However, it would appear that does not convert the accents or special characters or whatever we're calling them. It doesn't do that. It doesn't do that at all. So then it left that in the URL. And then when you view it, again, I'm not entirely sure why it 403s. Is that a server thing? Is that I don't know, but it 403s. And it's clearly the problem because you replace it and it doesn't. However, what I've since worked out, I think today, is that you should use sanitize _ title. And the reason for that is because sanitize _ title, I believe, calls sanitize title with dashes, and it calls the function called remove accents, which does this little replacement between the special characters to normal ones. So I need to update our plugin to swap that sort of sanitization function out. And I think, as I said, I haven't tested it, but once I do that, it will actually solve this problem.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's a weird one. I can't believe we haven't come across it before.
Yeah, that's what I was amazed that this hasn't been a problem before. So,
and you were thinking maybe that is because there's some kind of like server level configuration or even something within WordPress that's kind of like a security plugin or something that isn't loving the character. But
it's, basically trying to. Again, I'm completely making this up as a guess, but if the server is seeing that umlaut in the URL, is it sort of some firewall saying that looks a bit weird, I'm just going to block it, a 403, access denied, unauthorized, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. So Marcus said, make sure that the saved value part of the post name has been run through sanitized title. That will convert
exactly what
characters.
I'm saying. Yeah,
exactly. And most browsers understand special characters, but if they're not converted properly, e.g. UTF-8, then that may well cause a problem. So yeah, I think that's what we've been experiencing. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a fix out for that. But
essentially, it's me using the wrong function. But like my brain thought sanitize title with dashes was the right function because that's literally what I want to do. I want to take the title and put the dashes in the right place, so it's not, you know what I mean? But apparently no, you should use sanitize title. Hey, you learn something every day.
Yeah. It's that was interesting. But yeah, hopefully a little fix there, a little improvement to the product. So that's good. Last thing on the list, and I don't think well, maybe we will. It wouldn't take too long on this, I don't think. Is sale pricing and discounts. So why did you put this one on the list, Mark? What was
well, I think I was watching WP Builds earlier this week, and they were sort of chatting about Black Friday deals and things like that.
Yes.
And then we had a customer actually, which has kind of brought it up again. So we had a customer earlier this week, and I'd sent them everything that they need to buy the product. They decided to buy the product, and then interestingly, on the call, they'd already said, "Oh, I spoke to you 3 years ago, and then it was like your product was 35 quid, and now it's 49 quid." So immediately, I'm thinking, they're thinking about discounted prices, and I just said, well, the world's moved on since then. The price is what it is now, sort of thing. And then the customer, I sent them everything they needed to buy it. They said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and buy it now. And then they sent an email back like 2 minutes later. Says like, oh, I can see there's a discount code box on your checkout page. Is there a Christmas discount that I can use? All feeling of goodwill and stuff. So I was just thinking, and it got me thinking about Black Friday prices as well. Like, why offer a Black Friday deal? I don't quite understand it, because why are you offering this sale? Because if people want the product, then surely they will pay for it. And if you're not selling them unless you offer discount, then isn't your pricing just wrong? As in, make the price the Black Friday discount rather than having to run these sales and discount codes. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But then we were talking earlier, weren't we, about businesses have different models, don't they, how they sell things. If you think about sofa companies in this country, they constantly have offers on. Like you'd never buy a full price sofa in this country because they've literally they've always got a sale on. So do a lot of businesses run,
which is
like
technically
that?
illegal, by the way. I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure they're not being illegal, because they'll be pricing them at the right price for certain periods that's just long enough, and so on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So is the customer, and I'm taking this customer in particular for us, are they seeing like, oh, it's £419 a year is job really? Yeah, but we're not going to pay that way, because there's always going to be some sort of like discount that they're going to give us on the call, and that sort of thing. And a lot of us ask that, is that the best price you can do and everything like that? And I'm like, yeah, because that's how much it costs. Whereas I think other companies might be, yeah, well, but if you buy it today, we can give you a discount code for 20% off, and so on. So is the customer that was asking us in the mindset that if they pay £419, then they're losing out? Like, why are they paying that much when there's a discount code box on the checkout and everyone else will be putting a discount code in there and I'm not? So it's an interesting. I just think it's a really interesting like mindset. My thought process is that we shouldn't offer discounts. We shouldn't offer discounts for the product, and because we price the product at what we think is a value to the customer, and they either think that's valuable or not. Now, if we experience that, and 75% of the customers book calls, they love the product, and then they go, oh, well, I'm not buying it because the price is too expensive, then we'd have to think about whether it's the right price. But I don't think that's the case with our product. I think the price is the right price. So why would we want to offer discounts? I don't quite understand why that would be the right thing to do.
So I think our product is so niche as well that we don't have a lot of kind of direct competition. There isn't. We actually do have some competition in our space for Job Relay, but it's not like buying a hi-fi or like a TV, and you're like, you could buy this same Panasonic TV from a million different places, and you're going to search through them all to find the one that's giving you the best deal. I've got kind of different experiences, I guess, with sales and discounts. So, for example, I just bought a soundbar for my home, my TV in my living room, and I've waited for nearly 2 years actually for a Black Friday sale because I forgot to buy it last year. So Black Friday came along, and I was like, right, I'm actually going to like troll about and see if I can find a good soundbar for a good price, and I did, and I bought it. So having a Black Friday sale at this point in time meant I bought that particular thing. So, but
if they never had a Black Friday sale, would you have waited 2 years to get a Black Friday deal, or would you have decided, I'm going to buy it?
Because I didn't have a specific model in mind until now. So I just knew that like electronic equipment is sold on Black Friday. It's nearly always discounted around this time of year. But like, do people think like that with WordPress products and plugins and web SaaS stuff?
As in wait for Black Friday?
Yeah. So there's the Black Friday thing. I think Katie Keith has loads of like thoughts on this. She's run like experiments and put stuff out into the world. So maybe like try to track down some of her content on whether Black Friday works or not. I think it's been a bit hit and miss. I think they sell a
I
lot,
mean,
but because it's discounted, it's not quite right.
I think
Like, I don't know.
it'll work. I mean, why won't it work? Like, you're probably going to sell products around Black Friday if you've got a Black Friday discount. Like, it's not rocket science, is it? People are going to, anyone who was in two minds and like they jump on, oh, they've got a Black, oh, right, okay, I'll buy it now. So I don't quite
But
understand like that will work, but you're selling it for less than you thought it was worth.
yeah,
And if the case is, well, actually, hang on, most customers aren't buying it; they just wait until Black Friday. Why not just make the Black Friday price the price, and then
doesn't
you'll
make a
sell
lot
them all
of
year?
sense. Yeah, yeah.
Because that's
I
the
don't
price
know.
people want to pay for it.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
the
is
one
weird.
company that I think jumps into mind is Apple. Like, they don't do sales.
Yeah,
They just don't do sales. So no one feels they're missing out because they never do sales. So the price you see on the website is the price I pay, you pay, everyone pays.
yeah, that's
There's
true.
no feeling of missing out or anything. The only thing they do is like the student thing, don't they? Get like a AirPods if you buy something for students. But that's it. That's all they do.
Yeah.
We have priced our MacBook Pro at this price, and that's it.
I remember when I was going to buy a car. I think it was maybe the first time I'd ever like gone to like a dealership to buy a car. And I'm an introvert. I'm a conflict avoider. The thought of like haggling on a price is just like kryptonite to me. But I thought I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be brave, and I'm gonna like so like the salesman sits us down and he goes, right, and this is the price, and like outlines and everything. And I was like, okay, so can you what kind of deal can you do? Like, what's the lowest you can go? He's like, no, that's it. I was like, no, seriously, come on. And he just, I was certain, I was in a car dealership. I was certain there was a lower price to be had. And it really, really annoyed me that he just wouldn't budge. And in the end, like,
did you walk away?
No, I think I told
Well,
this
you
story
should have walked
before.
away.
I can't remember if I threatened to, but I didn't actually do it. And
Well,
I remember,
sorry, that's not for me, and just walk off.
I got so desperate that I'm a cycling fan, and I was buying a Skoda, and Skoda sponsored the Tour de France, and they had like the Skoda Tour de France green jerseys up in the thing. I was like, okay, would you just give me? Can I just have a Tour de France jersey? Like, I'll pay full price, but can I just have one of those Tour de France? No, you can't have that. I was like, oh my god, I bought the thing because I wanted it, and it was a good deal. But yeah. But that was a horrible experience. I felt like I was just not very skilled at that. Oh, I'm not skilled at that. I should have left that to my wife. She's really good at that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can imagine she is.
She loves a haggle.
Yeah. Elliot says, not Black Friday related, but I think offering a discount for early adopters is a viable reason for discounting.
I like that. I like early adopter.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But these are like they're nothing to do with early adopters. This is just, hey, this arbitrary day has happened in the year where you can have a discount.
I'll tell you something else. This isn't Black Friday related. I used to work for Adidas in one of their retail outlets. I was like assistant manager of the shop. And we were just basically told if someone asks for a discount, you can give it to them. So like it was just all they have to do is say, are there any discounts? And you could basically make it up to a point. So you could say, yeah, I'll give you 10% off, or yeah, I'll give you 15% off. Like we had that power. So there is stuff out there where if you just ask, you will get.
I was going to say, if you don't ask, you don't get, do you?
Yeah. So like you can literally walk up to I don't know if they still do that kind of thing. So at Adidas outlet shops, give it a go. That was a long time ago, but
that's so if I meet up with a friend at night and we've both been shopping in the day, and let's say yourself, you've been into the Adidas shop and you've bought a beautiful pair of trainers for £100, and you've asked, you say, oh, is there any discounts? And get 10% off. And then you go. So if we bought the same product and I've paid £100 for them because I didn't ask, and then we both have a chat afterwards, I come away with a really bad feeling about that company. Why didn't I get a 10% off? Like we bought it at the same time, literally. So how's that good?
I don't know. I guess I guess partly the purpose of an outlet shop is to get rid of stuff. Like they're literally just like, if you can sell it, because this is stuff that's going in the bin otherwise. So
yeah, maybe that's a bit different than that sort of.
It's
that,
possibly a bit
the type
different.
of
So
shop
yeah.
it is. Yeah. Anyway.
Got a bit away from the WordPress there, but yeah.
As you can tell, I'm not a fan of
discounts
and
really, are you?
Black Fridays and
I think they have their place, but I do find them to be a bit weird sometimes and a bit arbitrary, and the whole Black Friday thing I find absolutely bizarre. But there you go.
Set your price, stick to it, review it if it's not working.
Yeah,
that's my stance.
Early adopter, so I'm with Elliot on that. I think that's a really good.
Yeah, that's a different one. I get that, but I think that's a different conversation to the one we're having. I think if you're starting out, you want something.
I agree.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Didn't even get into lifetime discounts. Let's not get you started on that. Anyway, moving on. In fact, not moving on. Let's finish up there. That we've done about 40 minutes, covered a lot. So let's finish up for this week. As always, thank you so much for joining us, for listening, for watching. If you do enjoy the show, please do consider leaving a little like. Just click that little thumbs up, and if you want more of this kind of thing, you can subscribe and you will get notified. If you also click the bell on YouTube, or if you follow us on your favorite podcast player, and if you do like it as well, maybe there's someone else in your network that would enjoy this show. If you could possibly just send them a link, let them know about us, that would be superb. Are we doing a show next week, Mark? It's getting very close to the Christmas holidays.
I think we should
do a little festive number.
Christmas hat.
So we should be here next week. So again, if you want to get notified of that, please do subscribe, and hopefully we will see you there. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.